What happens if a country becomes fully independent in its foreign policy? In other words, what if a country does not consider the U.S. enemies as its own enemies and U.S. friends as its own friends? Since the United States became a superpower, it wanted all countries to follow its orders or face consequences. Therefore, few countries deviated from what the United States decided for them. Whenever there would be a war, all countries were supposed to join the United States and fight its enemy, even if they had nothing to do with it. The United States has been in this habit, expecting countries to always be nice and compromise on national interests only for the United States. However, South Africa has decided to resist, do whatever it likes, and be the leader of the African continent. However, this comes with consequences. As South Africa exposed Israel and its allies when it brought the genocide case in the ICJ, it was an open call for battle. Instead of supporting Israel, which is what the United States wanted, South Africa sued Israel and accused it of outright genocide. This was a complete shock, and the United States did not know how to react because no country had ever done anything like that before. And now, after careful thinking, the United States has decided to punish South Africa to show what will happen to a country that went against the United States and its allies. But how does the United States plan to punish South Africa hard, and will it really work? Let's find out. Just recently, news has surfaced that a bill has been presented in the United States Congress that focuses on reviewing relations with South Africa. The bill introduced to the United States Congress calls for a comprehensive examination of the bilateral relationship between the United States and South Africa, following the International Court of Justice's indication that Israel may have committed acts of genocide against Gaza. In other words, presenting a bill focused against South Africa at such a time proves that it's a type of punishment for South Africa. And the punishment is being given for its resistance to support Israel and even suing it for genocide. You should know that this is a bipartisan bill, which means both political parties in the United States have collaborated on this bill. There are quite a few moments when these two parties sit together, which proves that when it comes to South Africa, all stakeholders in the U.S. are united against it. The bill was put forward by U.S. Republican Congressman John James and Democratic Party Congressman Jared Moskowitz, and it has the potential to affect South Africa's eligibility for benefits under the African Growth and Opportunity Act. However, the bill must undergo discussion and approval by Congress before it can take effect. But what are the contents of the bill? Well, the bill outlines that within 30 days of its legislation, U.S. President Joe Biden is required to certify to the appropriate congressional committees and publicly release an unclassified determination explicitly stating whether South Africa has engaged in activities undermining U.S. national security or foreign policy interests. In other words, the United States wants to be the judge, jury, and executioner against South Africa, as happened before during the Russia-Ukraine war. It's shocking to know the bill itself tells how the United States can coerce and blackmail countries. In the international world, every country is sovereign and has the authority to do whatever it likes, including deciding on which side to be on in any conflict. Therefore, a third country can never judge its actions and punish it simply because the country went against its foreign policy. It's because that country also has its own foreign policy. Yet, the United States has been in a habit of thinking that other countries should just ignore their foreign policies and do whatever it says. The bill accuses the African Nations Congress of acting inconsistently with its publicly stated policy of non-alignment in international affairs. It alleges that the South African government has historically aligned itself with malign actors, including Hamas and the Russian Federation. Well, if that's the case, then what about the U.S. that has aligned itself with Israel, a country that has occupied Palestinians' land? Has South Africa ever asked the United States to distance itself from Israel? Well, the answer is no, because this is a country's internal matter. However, the bill consistently judges South Africa's foreign policy, stating that the South African government's support for Hamas dates back to 1994, when the African National Congress first gained power, consistently accusing Israel of practicing apartheid. Despite this, the ANC and the South African government have been known to have ties with the Palestine Liberation Organization since former President Nelson Mandela's term in office. Furthermore, the bill references statements and actions by South African government officials following an attack by Hamas on Israel in October 2023. It mentions anti-Semitic remarks made by President Cyril Ramaphosa and International Relations and Cooperations Minister Naledi Pandor, and statements attributed to ANC national spokesperson Malengi Bengu Motsiri. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Africa's geopolitics, economy, and changing landscape. Let's continue now. The bill also highlights South Africa's politically motivated lawsuit against Israel in the International Court of Justice in December 2023, as well as its close relationship with Russia, including military and political cooperation. In regard to China, the bill criticizes South Africa and the ANC for their relationship with the Chinese government and the ruling Chinese Communist Party, citing human rights violations in Xinjiang and the CCP's coercive tactics globally. Lastly, the bill accuses the ANC-led South African government of mismanaging state resources, failing to deliver public services effectively, and exacerbating crises such as the energy crisis and cholera outbreak. It specifically targets President Cyril Ramaphosa for his handling of the energy crisis and allegations of corruption within the ANC government. Honestly, all these accusations show the frustration that the United States holds against South Africa. The United States wanted all countries to side with Israel and criticize Hamas. However, it never imagined in a worse nightmare that a country will sue Israel for genocide. That's why it has become quite hard for the United States to hide its intentions. Hence, we are seeing a bill against South Africa that is full of accusations without evidence. Even the bill raises questions on actions that a country is sovereign to take. For example, in the bill, ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bengu Motsiri is accused of defending Hamas by describing the attacks as unsurprising. President Cyril Ramaphosa is criticized for accusing Israel of genocide, and International Relations Minister Naledi Pandor is slated for a phone call with Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh shortly after the attack. In other words, the bill proves that the United States wanted none of this to happen. But will the U.S. State Secretary ever get permission from South Africa before having a phone call with Netanyahu, the man responsible for killings in Gaza? All this suggests that two countries can never judge each other's actions because they will always be seen with hostility. Perhaps the United States needs to grow up and understand that in the same way as it wants not to be questioned for supporting Israel, South Africa expects the same. However, if the United States stooped low and tried to punish South Africa for having an independent foreign policy, South Africa would be left with no choice but to follow suit. But what has been South Africa's response to the bill? Well, South Africa's International Relations and Cooperation Minister Naledi Pandor has voiced concerns about the bill. Pandor underscored the importance of the trade partnership between the U.S. and South Africa, expressing a desire for the relationship to flourish despite differences in foreign policy perspectives. She criticized attempts to link South Africa with terrorism and condemned attacks on civilians in Israel. Even Pandor emphasized South Africa's condemnation of civilian killings and hostage-taking. What's more, Vincent Magwenya, a spokesperson for the presidency, labeled the bill as highly unfortunate for South Africa-U.S. relations if it were to progress. He argued that concerns raised by members of Congress had already been addressed through legal processes or clarified in public statements. Magwenya emphasized South Africa's commitment to peace in the Russia-Ukraine conflict and affirmed the robust bilateral relationship with the U.S. Perhaps it's time for the United States to give up its bullying behavior to coerce countries into submission and respect their foreign policies. It has to learn that it cannot always force other countries to support its own allies, no matter how high the stakes are. Yet, the United States does not appear to have learned and is trying hard to get the bill passed so it can do what it has been doing: punish countries that go against its foreign policy agendas. What do you think? Will South Africa change its bold new foreign policy after the United States bill? Or do you believe it will make South Africa more determined to fight against all crooks led by the United States? In the comment section right below, let us know what South Africa should do now, as the United States is planning to punish it. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: African politics, economy, and increasing power. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and share the video, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.